Welcome to the world of Q&A. So I'm here, I'm on time, you're all late, and I fucked up and already lost chat. Here we go. So, sorry everyone that I'm a bit late starting on Q&Asa. I don't know if you've been here since 9 or if you just turned up like I have, but it's here. We've got a good show. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where it's combobulated, and I'm relying on all of you to carry the show through, but that's nothing outside of the ordinary because you do that for me every single week. Resident Evil 7, not quite. It is 8, yes. So, but there's no... Fine, you can have points for the background. There's an OST playing as well. The OST is a new one for the show, not a repeat. How is everybody doing? 7 and 8 are the same game. They're most definitely not the same game. Resident Evil 7, I play that, I stream it, and nothing seems to ever really happen. Apart from, like, slow build tension and then some jump scares. Some grossness. I think 8 has a lot more going on. You're stressed, you're about to check Twitter. I'm afraid I don't want to have to break this to you, but Twitter no longer exists. You are going to have to get on the X. Is it the real me, or did a killer replace me with an AI hologram? We'll find out as the show goes on. Would I even know the answer myself? Maybe. But we'll leave that question open, and we'll see if we can determine that one as the show goes on. How's everybody doing though? Tell me what's going on, and I will tell you what this show is all about right after a word from our sponsor. It's Game On Daily, website, platform, news aggregation thing, place where I comment and talk a bunch because it's nice, and if I do that, maybe more people will come and talk on there. This website / platform does some of the things that I want it to at the moment, but the things that it will do in future are brilliant, so stick with it because I am fairly determined to get it there eventually. Don't know how to do it, I don't know how to get it there, how to keep it moving, but it is still the plan. And oh, you're going to love it one day if you don't already. That's Game On Daily. Look at that, bronze badger, fancy pants badge. So yeah, become a channel member if you wish. All you get for it is a badge. But it's a very nice badge that changes. You can have a look at them. They're all, YouTube will show you what they look like. And they're very nice, and I'm very happy with them. Thank you, Isla. Tom's good. I did enjoy the meal. I didn't enjoy the timing of the meal. I went to that restaurant at like 7 o'clock thinking, yeah, that's like family meal with the kids. It's not going to take that long. I'll easily be back for 9 o'clock. And then they shunted us upstairs and forgot that we were there for like 2 hours. Oh well. Oh well, back now. Showtime. Got some wine. Everything's fine. Yes, Tom. You do get a green name for being a badger. And I don't know, from time to time, you get priority slot when I'm playing multiplayer games on the streaming and such, and you want to join in. Badger priority, of course. What else do you get? There was something else. Episode 13, welcome, good evening, JJ. I've seen Ghost Fixer, Painful Discourse with the big wee earlier. I saw that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's do what we normally do. No, let's run through how the show works. So even though I'm scrambling and I'm all over the place, we've got the usual ways to communicate. We've got this back and forth chat. Replicant, sorry, I think I missed your name. We've got this back and forth chat where you say things and I say things and everybody says things and we talk to each other, and it's good. That's the like lifeblood of the show every week is going back and forth on this little chat. But if you feel like you're being neglected, or if you feel like chat is not enough, you can donate $800 via super chat. That's my minimum price. There's no discounts this week, badger or otherwise. No discounts. $800 if you want your super chat read aloud in the accent of your choice. That's not a real option. Don't do it. Option 2. There will be a YouTube Q&A box. It has just appeared in front of my eyes. Anything that you need to say that I'm missing or that you really need to have addressed, at the end of the show, we go through the Q&A box. So stick them in there, and I'll make sure I at least read them, and we'll have a little chat. Welcome, Joe. Someone will do it one day, maybe episode 13. And like, I don't know, I'll buy everybody a bag of licorice all sorts. I don't know. No, super chats are very uncomfortable as a concept for me, but option 3 is Discord. Discord's always available. If you join the Game On Daily Discord server. Look on the left, there's a little category called Q&Asa. You can stick yourself in one of the waiting rooms. You can come in and you can chat in there to me and to the world. You can show your face or you can not show your face. You can probably do it from your consoles as well. I've not really explored Discord on the consoles, but options are there and they keep improving week on week, so you can do that. And what's option 4? I have forgotten option 4. If you know where I live, you can like knock on the door and make a guest appearance that way. No, don't do that. Only Isla knows where I live and it's a bad idea. Stay where you are, your body. I'm sure there's an option 4, but that's it. That's it. That's what's going on. Teams is not a viable option. You're on your way. Skype, yeah, a bit of LinkedIn. Get the old MSN Messenger nudges going on. Tell me about games. Tell me what you've been playing. In fact, tell me what I've been playing. Painful Discourse, I'm already on live chat. Thank you for the alert. You know I live in the south. Oh, do you now, Tom? Do you now? Yeah, I do. I do live in the south. The deep south. I don't know what that means. That's a little Nicky reference from a million years ago. Mentioning MSN was a jump scare. Yeah, it's not a thing that I've ever used, to be fair. Remnant 2. I've not been playing Remnant 2, but you've been playing Remnant 2. And Asheron's cool. Good choice. Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa. So Tom and Replicant, you're both playing Remnant 2. Are you playing together, or are you like pretending you don't know each other, that you're not fellow badgers? And how are you both finding it? Is it really difficult? I've heard that it's the first one was supposed to be like a Souls-like shooting game, in that it was supposed to be quite hard to get through. It's the second one hard to get through. Joe, you've been playing Returnal this week. PC or PlayStation? How many runs have you put into Returnal? Replicant, you're not in the south. No, I know, but you visit Croydon every now and again for works. Playing through it on the PlayStation. And how are you enjoying it, Joe? Because parts... You completed it first run. Yeah, get the fuck out. I find with Returnal that it feels really nice to play. It looks cool, but it's not, like, each run is not rewarding. It doesn't get the roguelike hooks in the way that Hades does. This is just me, though. I'm not typically a fan of roguelikes. Remnant 2 is your game of the year so far. Bold. And I saw someone who said they're playing Baldur's Gate 3. Someone said it. I saw it. I saw the words. Baldur's Gate 3 looks incredible. So much so that I think I have to get it at full price and play it. Blade Whipper, you're playing it. Blade Whipper, did you just start today, or are you have you been playing it during early access? Compliment your thumbnail. It's a very good thumbnail. I haven't actually I'm gonna look right now actually while I'm live. I haven't seen the promo that I tweeted out, X'd out, you know, because I was too busy. So I just blindly splatted it. Now I'm going to look. It's playing, it's doing things. I'm going to bring it up here. So, you know, here is the promo I'm playing through. So Isla does an animated little promo for me to display out, and then takes a frame, a still of it, to make up the thumbnail. See how the sky moves and the swirly smoke comes in. I recognize that smoke. You used it in a video recently. Very nice. Thank you for doing that for me. Castlevania? How do you know Castlevania? Aaron Summers, welcome. Pretty spot on for the Returnal opinions. It's good, but the lack of rewards each run can get a bit tedious after a few runs. Yeah, and the runs aren't short. It's not like Hades is going to be the example I keep coming back to, but Hades is like 15-20 minutes for a good run. Burn bright, die, makes you want to burn bright again. Returnal can take a good couple of hours for a run. And then when you get to the end of that, you're like, just one more? Hell no, I'm going to have a break. Your sound went. You've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 in early access. Were you a Divinity Original Sin fan as well? because I could be wrong, but I consider Baldur's Gate 3 to be a pseudo sequel to the Divinity Original Sin games, more so than I consider it to be a sequel to Baldur's Gate. But then I haven't played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, so 30 hours into Remnant 2. See, I really want to play Remnant 2. I really want to play Baldur's Gate 3, but Baldur's Gate 3 has 174 hours of cutscenes. Like it's a life-absorbing kind of game. And obviously Starfield's coming out next month as well, which is also a life-absorbing kind of game. And I don't have that many lives to have absorbed. You fancy Baldur's Gate 3, but you're not very good at turn-based combat. What turn-based combat games have you struggled with, Replicant? Does anyone log what games they've played, or just use this show as official record? It's a good idea, Joe. I could look back at this next time we get to like an event, like an end of year or something, and people start talking about favourite games they've played this year. I'll watch the opening of this show every week for the last year just to remind myself what actually came out and what I enjoyed. Armored Core 6, yes, Tony, but Armored Core 6 though, like I'm very much looking forwards to it, but unlike Baldur's Gate and Starfield, it's not a life-absorbing game. You can dip in and out of Armored Core, I reckon. Like they say a mission in Armored Core takes 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So I can just like pause Baldur's Gate in between turns, like put my feet up after, I don't know, doing a Starfield activity and have a couple of missions of Armored Core if I fancy. JJ, your favourite game you played this year is hands down Cyberpunk, and you can't wait for the DLC. I was really enjoying Cyberpunk. And then I stopped because the DLC is going to revamp some of the things that I don't like about it, namely the perks and stuff in that game. Clip, I'm going to eat my words. Oh, Tony, you underestimate how much I like the turn-based games, though. Armored Core looks very good, but I don't think it's going to supplant 1, Baldur's Gate as a pancake game, and 2, Starfield as a VR game, which I still kind of anticipate that Starfield will be available in VR by day one, like the real day one, not the real day one from the early access. You know what I mean. I think I'll be playing that in like the dream way. Week after tomorrow, so Remnant will hopefully get a good battering. You've been unlocking the archetypes. I assume those are like classes and whatnot. There's a lot of ease. That's good. This is your first Baldur's Gate game, but you have played a few Divinity games. They seem separate enough for you. So I've got Divinity Dragon Commander and like some of the more obscure older ones like that, but I've only played Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, like properly, of that line of games. And everything that I've seen of Baldur's Gate just looks like those continued. But I say it's a good thing because I really like those games. And I think I'm really going to like 3. Painful Discourse, you've been playing Armored Core 4? What did Armored Core 4 come on? What are you playing it on? Because these games, the sequence has been broken for quite a long time. Dion, you're playing Final Fantasy XVI at the moment. Are you a Final Fantasy fan? And how does it rank in your little listing of Final Fantasy games? Because that one's a little bit divisive, being so different from the old ones. I'm looking forward to playing it. I don't anticipate I'll love it as much as Final Fantasy VII Remake. Do you mean they're both fantasy? They are both fantasy games, but they're also both turn-based and just look like vibes very similar. They both have the co-op options. They both have really similar kind of dialogue choices. I imagine being the same team, a lot of the writing is like same feels. Mira's lasted much longer than in your playthrough of Resident Evil 8. Alright, don't spoil it. I've not played Resident Evil 8. She might be fine. This is as far as I got in this game. I intend to play it. I haven't finished my Resident Evil 7 yet, and I've not gone back to it for a long time. I need to pick up Resident Evil 7, get it on the treadmill and get playing. Then comes Resident Evil 8. Which I think will be an easier play than Resident Evil 7. Am I worried about Starfield? You mean in the way that certain trolls are because there's no demo at Gamescom and things like that? I'm not worried about Starfield. I entirely, fully expect Starfield to launch with some bugs and some hilarious car crash messes going on, because Skyrim still has those. And that's fine to expect in a game with that scope and scale. Like I say though, for me, the only thing that I'm torn on Starfield is I really do expect the modding community to get VR working in it very, very quickly. And it's like a dream VR game, much as I play Skyrim in VR all the time. So that's not to take away from the pancake version of it, but knowing that the VR version of it is probably just around the corner will make me hesitant to start. I really hope that that is a thing that turns out well. Ultimately a great game. Wait, what's ultimately a great game? I like great games. Starfield. Yeah. Yeah, so I was playing, I streamed a bit of Skyrim the other day, and I ended up with like monsters or zombie creature things that I had slain, kind of moonwalking in the sky. Just carrying on a walking animation somewhere above ground. And it's like, wow, this one's old. And these bugs are still very bugs. Top Cat? No, Painful Discourse already called that one. I am on the thing. You feel powerful, you can make veggie burgers. Yeah, do it. The Ratchet video overtook the Game Pass core video. So those that don't know, a video went up on this channel yesterday. I had like no part in it. I just talked a bit on Q&Asa last week, and Isla chopped it. She went all cassette boy and took words from like scattered all around the video and turned it into coherent sentences. Things that I never even said, just spliced together into a video, and it worked really well. So yes, she did well. Thank you very much. Butch Luffy, welcome back. What have you been playing? I am still, like, I'm just beginning to digest the lasagna that I ate and rushed home on. Feeling a little all over the place. Can't remember what we're talking about. But then it always runs a bit like that, if we're being honest, doesn't it? So it's fine. I have played and very, very much enjoyed playing The Ascent. I played that one on stream, so you may or may not have been there to witness like the pure joy of it. Such a simple game to go back to. I've never finished it. It's been out for a long, long time, and I only play it in fits and spurts. So the fact that it's probably quite repetitive never really drags me down, because I never give it enough time for it to wear thin. But every time I do play it, it's just like audio visual astounding experience. I enjoy that a lot. Lasagna is yummy, and it was very good lasagna, yes. Yeah, it sounds really good, looks really good, the shooting's satisfying enough, stuff blows up everywhere, the environment is nicely destructible, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So that's The Ascent. If you haven't played that, do. If you have played it, tell me whether you love it or hate it. And I've also played, that you won't know about, Replicant. You need to play The Ascent, it's on your backlog. Do. I mean, we all know we've all got a lot of games to play at the moment, but The Ascent is quite satisfying. I enjoyed playing that one. I can't remember how it handles scaling. I was going to say you could jump in with me, but you probably want to actually sample the storyline in order, because it does have one. And the other thing that I've been playing, I discovered quite by chance that my treadmill works perfectly with Oculus native games. So whereas I had been jumping through all kinds of hoops to get Asgard's Wrath to work nicely, for example, I've now found out that I can very easily launch into some of Oculus's classic games from their golden era, the golden era of virtual reality, which was like 2017 through to about 2020. Weird to say, to look back on a technology that never quite found its feet and say like that was its golden era, but it so was. And I've been playing Stormlands, which is from Insomniac, and it's brilliant. Like, really, really good game. Can't wait to see what they actually make for PlayStation, assuming their VR team is still allowed to focus on a VR project. And Insomniac very much have a VR team that made like 4 games for Oculus. Ah no, there's a poll I can't read. is... Oh, wait, no, that's the poll from earlier. Am I going to make it to my own show? I did. Is Cyberpunk 2077 VR compatible on PC at all? Aaron, partly. This is a thing that I've been playing. It's the other reason that I interrupted my Cyberpunk playthrough. So there is a mod. There is a particular fairly prolific VR modder called Luke Ross, who has a lot of big games that you can play in VR. So you can play Cyberpunk, you can play Elden Ring, you can play Dark Souls 3, I think it is. You can play Final Fantasy XIV Remake, Grounded, like quite a few big games you can play in VR, but he very stubbornly does not patch in virtual reality controls. So you have to use a keyboard and mouse or a controller for the basic controls of the game. He wants to keep it authentic to the original experience. So it puts you in the game and you can look around, but you're still using a controller to shoot and to interact with the environment, which is good, but not quite fully VR. Cyberpunk, I've been trying to get working nicely with these mods, and I haven't been too happy with the image quality of it. But it's almost there, and I think if I can get my treadmill working, I can get my head in there, I can take the controls as a trade-off. So yeah, it is kind of workable. You can stick a VR headset on, you can explore Night City, you can play through the entirety of the game. Aaron likes the Ascent too. Good. Fine taste. Tando, good evening. Jordan, stop playing Sekiro. There are too many games for you to do 5 playthroughs of the same game. Stop it. I've not managed one playthrough of Sekiro yet. I've not even started it. And you're like, oh, I'm doing new game plus. Outrageous. Cyberpunk, you may wait until the expansion comes out. At this point, I'd definitely recommend waiting until the expansion comes out. Yes, it includes a lot of updates to the full game, as well as so the extra content that you get in the Cyberpunk expansion happens throughout the course of the main campaign rather than being tacked onto the end. So it's not like Burning Shores where you play through the campaign and then you do the DLC. The DLC comes before the ending, potentially changes the ending and things like that, but also completely revamps, like I say, the bits that I thought were weakest in that game, ignoring bugs and things like that, which I also expect to be improved. But the character development and perks in Cyberpunk, whenever I get ability points or perks to spend in Cyberpunk, I open up the menu and go, those are all boring. And they're completely revamping that little system because they listen to me directly. So yes, Cyberpunk will be better in just a couple of short months. So if you waited this long, wait that little bit extra. Jordan, you're hooked. New game +2 at the moment. What are the new games? Are you just like seeking different endings, or does it get progressively more difficult, or what do they give you? Why are you still playing it? New game +2, 100 hours in. We're going to come back next week and you're going to be like the one person that's finished Baldur's Gate 3 because you just seem to cram hours in somehow. Tony, you like the OST? Sounds like grandma having a good time. Your grandma I would like to meet. Just to find out what the fuck. The police system is being revamped, yes. Jordan, of course you have a fine life. You've played Sekiro like 100 times this week. I envy that. What else have I played? I've played Stormlands, I've played The Ascent, I played a bit of Forspoken. Did anybody like witness the playing of Forspoken? I played it a few weeks ago for the first time and did the intro like hour and a half, 2 hours. And the intro, like before you transport into Athia or whatever, when you do the New York parts of the intro, the character background and all of that lot, exposition and story, that was kind of low quality but forgivable because you can tell that it's dragging you through and it'll be over soon. Then you get into the world of Forspoken and start playing and start to realize that actually some of the combat is quite cool. Some of it looks really nice when you're actually in combat with dragons and things. It starts looking really good. Combat's pretty responsive, a bit basic but responsive, has some potential. And I was thinking actually this game might be better than people said. Then I played it this week for the second time. And you get to the first like population center, maybe the only population center, I don't know. But you get to some people in Athia. Holy shit, that section of the game was bad. Like it was... Why, what? How do I make it stop? So there's a thing about Forspoken. Then you get past that and it picks up again a little bit. The point that I left it, I'd just done a random optional purple dungeon. And it was quite enjoyable, so I might give it another go, but it definitely has issues with the way it delivers. Like the cutscenes and storage section, they do not have the pacing right. Still, Replicant loved it. He highly recommended that I play through to the finish of it. And promised me that there's no more stealth. The dialogue alone killed any interest that you had in the game. Is that based on playing it so shady, or is that based on dialogue that you caught secondhand? Because I'm not going to say that the dialogue is good, and especially not when it hits these pacing issues that I'm talking about. But overall, she's not the most annoying. Give it time and maybe I'll come back and say, wow, she is the most annoying. Just the dialogue that you heard, that you haven't played it. She does like arbitrary swearing in the way that a 13-year-old would to try and impress their friends. There's a lot of it. And yeah, like, it's a fair criticism from what I've seen so far, but you can nip around really fast and dodge shit and fight things, and it does look flashy at times. I don't know, so I'll probably play it a little bit more, but then there are all these other games, and I am properly enamored with the thought of playing Baldur's Gate 3. 120 gig that wants of my drive space, 120 gigs. And it can have it. Wow, so I'm sure there's something else that I've played this week. Not played Resident Evil. Need to get back to Resident Evil. Not been on my treadmill anywhere near enough. Need to get on my treadmill a bunch more. Baldur's Gate 3 is an 82 gigabyte download. Not for me, it wasn't, Replicant. And like I only downloaded it 4 hours ago or so. Steam told me that it was going to be, they said you need 150 gig of space, but when I actually came to download it, it was 122, I think. Will Baldur's Gate 3 translate to console? Yeah, JJ, I think so. I think it will be just fine on console. So they, Larry and the studio behind it brought their other turn-based games, the Divinity games, to console, and they were fine there. So, yes, I think it will be fine. Replicant, you don't need to look, it's okay. We'll just agree that I've got the superior version of Baldur's Gate 3. With the nudity. You've got the kids version. Like 82 gig for your version, and then there's an extra 40 gig of genitalia detailing for mine. That's what it is. Which sadly I'll probably have to disable because I'm likely to stream the game. Exoprimal, yes, I played Exoprimal some more. What are you wowing? I'm a druid. Yeah. Who said... I don't know. Don't know where this conversation has gone or how this has happened, but... it's a thing. You couldn't enjoy bear sex if there wasn't nudity. Well... like, bears don't have clothes, right? The bear druids have... I don't know. There's lots of, like, weirdness to that game. But a lot of depth, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Will it translate to the Series S? Oh, Tom, yes it will. Yes it will. With a little extra work, right? It's weird, actually. Whenever they show clips of the co-op, so for those that don't know, Baldur's Gate 3's come out on PC today. It comes out on PlayStation on Starfield Day, so it comes out on PlayStation 5 on September the 6th. And they've delayed the Xbox version, or not delayed it because it was never actually announced, but the Xbox version they say is coming later because they're struggling to get the split-screen co-op to work on the Series S. And they're not allowed to release it without it, because Microsoft insists on parity of features between the Series S and the Series X. So they can't release it on Xbox until they get split screen working on Series S, and they're just parking that to the side for post-launch. Post-launch of the PlayStation and PC version. Will it work though? Yeah, they'll get it working. Whenever I see the footage of it, and it's literally like vertical split screen, so you've got one player on the left and one player on the right, and those players have freedom to go where they want. You don't have any like artificial tie to the other player. And the clips that they show have one person like engaged in a cutscene and having a conversation with an NPC, while the other player is like off exploring the world somewhere. And it just makes me wonder what happens if like both those players engage in conversation at the same time. What's the audio like at that point? Does it then make one player pause so that you can actually hear? Or is split screen co-op just a terrible way to play? I don't know. Don't know the answer. Is there local co-op on the PC version, or is that just a console thing? The PC version does have it as far as... Oh, does it actually? That's a good question. I don't know. Definitely had LAN co-op and online co-op listed. Replicant, do you know? Does it have split screen on the PC version? I'm pretty sure that they don't officially support split screen on the Steam Deck certified badge. Which doesn't mean that you couldn't launch it if you try. Replicant doesn't know either. No one's allowed near our PCs, so it becomes like irrelevant as a question. We don't look at this because like I've got gun turrets protecting my PC from my family. They're not not really an arsehole. I kind of am. Oh shit, I'm an arsehole. What a sad revelation. Local co-op, should all player games have it? Should all multiplayer games have it? No, Tony. No. In many circumstances, it's a lot of work and changes what can be delivered in a game. It's nice as a feature, but it doesn't need to be in every game for sure. Welcome, Space Denizen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What have you been playing in VR land? See, Space Denizen knows all about the Luke Ross mods that I was just talking about earlier. Episode 13 wants to be alone in the man cave. See, the only thing that I'm hesitant about on starting Baldur's Gate 3 is I would quite like to do a co-op playthrough. I think there's extra potential for chaos in there. But ooh, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to get through hundreds and hundreds of hours like that. Not sure it's possible. Interesting. So, was my question about cooperative conversations happening at the same time with different characters? Yeah, it's like it's not an important question. I'm just curious when I watch it because let me see if I can find it actually. See if I can find, because it was just in their normal trailer, I think. Wrong browser. You finished Dark Souls and you picked up Humanity. So did you go for Humanity on the PC? I remember we had this conversation before, didn't we? You don't have the PlayStation subscription tier that includes it. And Deep Rock Galactic and Risk of Rain 2 as usual. I keep saying every week, like I need to get on each of these, and I still haven't. But I have such a log of VR games to get through, such a log of Pancake games to get through. Whoa, I'm writing in all capitals. How did that happen? You bought it on sale on the PlayStation VR 2. Tony, so would it be okay if Street Fighter / Tekken type of games don't get local multiplayer and it's only online? No, Tony, that wouldn't be okay. It depends though. If you were to tell me that like Street Fighter or Tekken or Mortal Kombat or any of those was being reinvented to just take advantage of the way that games are played now, and actually it's not that side-on perspective anymore. The sacrifice that we have to make to deliver this new vision of it is that actually you can't do local co-op anymore. Yeah, I'd be alright with that. But if you're doing a traditional fighter with the two characters on screen, it would be wild to not allow split screen co-op. Whose house am I streaming from? I'm in my house, Tony. Oh, in that... Tony. Everybody's Tony. I'm in my house, Tando. So, Shady, you feel that a fighter needs local multiplayer modes. When was the last time that you played a fighter against someone locally? That you sat down on a couch and gave them a controller? Like the shitty version of the controller. You keep the good one for yourself and you let them have the spare that gets shared around. See, the Baldur's Gate launch trailer I'm going to play, and that probably won't have any co-op in it because it's a launch trailer. Not one I've seen before. But it has stuff going on. It has chests on stairs. And big skeleton monsters with funky hats from Forspoken. And uh-oh. Sexy times. Show the split screen so I know. It's almost the only way that you play fighters actually. You rarely play them alone. Oh, you rarely play them online. Fair enough. I can't remember the last time I played a fighting game against anyone locally. Why is this music? Shut up. Who chose Castlevania as the soundtrack? Why is it singing at me? Murder Baby nearly ruined your food. Your close gamer friends in real life that you get to hang out with and game with often. That is delightful. You did win, Isla. I told you it was Castlevania. I was surprised that you knew it when you called it. It is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I've never played it. I'd never heard this OST. I'm listening to this for the first time and I'm regretting my choice. Ah, yes. Well, you were. I want the Baldur's Gate 3 trailer that has the split screen in it. The release trailer from before. Launch trailer, reveal trailer? Should I try the reveal trailer? Let's see what's in there. In fact, I'm sure that I saw the split screen trailer on Steam earlier, so Steam must support it. Or that would be a weird choice of trailer. It sounded retro and spooky and you took a guess. Fair enough. Well done. Exoprimal. I talked a bit about that on Saturday. Should we talk about Exoprimal again? No, we're going to skip over Exoprimal. Who else is still playing that though? How are we finding it? Are you all still hooked, or has anyone played it a bit and then got bored? Replicant, you think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be one of the highest scoring games this year? Yeah, this is why a couple of months ago I asked people what they thought was going to end up better reviewed, Baldur's Gate 3 or Starfield. And I wasn't asking expecting it to be like very predictable actually. Because depending on who gets their hands on each game to review them, I think they'll both get very high scores. Not Nintendo high necessarily, because here we go. Look, one's talking in dialogue and one's exploring. Okay, they didn't chat for very long. But that's what I was talking about. That's what made me like question what happens if you do completely different activities that cause audio conflict. Exoprimal is good fun. Yeah, Replicant, you love it. Is Peter Morland here? I've not seen his name. I had a question that's important. But he has to be here so I can arrange it. Speaking of Exoprimal, just like sent my mind to the coming Sunday. Because Sunday I've been doing these open streams on multiplayer games that people can join in on. He's out on the town partying. That's no good. So Peter has a game in mind for playing. Which is a silly little tank game that I think will probably be quite fun, and he's very shy of asking to play. He keeps on like saying, oh no, nobody will like it, don't play this one, but I think it's a good idea and I want to play it. The problem is it doesn't support cross-platform, so it's a cheap little game. It's like less than a tenner wherever you buy it, be it PC, PlayStation or Xbox, but I don't know where to get it because I don't know who would be willing to join in and play it. I also can't remember what the game is called, which doesn't help this little question. But if anybody wants to join in on it's somewhere between Worms and I don't know what else. It's like a real-time Worms game. Now, if you've ever heard of or played Death Tank Zwei, it's like a follow-on to that. Who would play it, and on what platform would you be willing to join in? No, not Worms. It's not Worms, it's tanks. They're tanks. Stop yelling Worms. Worms is too boring, but simultaneous real-time Worms is less boring. Worms, like... So Peter's got it on PC and Xbox Replicant. Ah, yes, like Worms. Let me see if I can find what it's called. Bring it up. Bring it up. Give it a second. Because he sent it to me. I mean, it is cheap and it is simple, It is called no crossplay. I'll bring up the whole website, that'll do it. With trailer. So here comes Shell Shock Live. PlayStation, Xbox and PC. Peter has it on both. I can't full screen it, apparently it refuses. Probably because the browser's full screen. Let's do this. Shell Shock Live. Still won't do it. Anyway, you play little tanks. It's like Worms, but you all, rather than wait your turn, you all blast each other at once. Simple. You probably get... Oh my goodness, this is Death Tank. You probably get currency between levels, you upgrade your tank, and you shoot people some more. You don't have an Xbox, so that's one for PC only. Tony, you're playing on your Atari bunch of boobs. There's a great Worms knockoff in VR called Avi Wars. Interesting. I'm definitely going to need to do some more like VR community things. I just need more VR people. But I would like to spend more time in VR, so that works for me. Who's getting the smelly Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles controllers? Is anyone going to get the pizza controllers? You just broke your jaw/ear trying to sip Coke. That's... Someone teach Isla how to use her face, because that's not it. There's lots of multiplayer VR games that would be worth playing, so I want to do community ones of those, but my immediate concern is finding out which platform to go for Shell Shock Live. So Pizza has Xbox and PC. Isla has flat out refused to play it because it's not Worms. Would anybody else be willing to get in on Shell Shock Live when I bring that to a probably Sunday multiplayer session? What platform would you be willing to get it on? I'm thinking, see, I had thought, for me, PC is probably slightly more convenient just in terms of being able to keep a stream going if I'm swapping games and things. Xbox has its whole SDR issue. Don't know. It's not massive uptake, so maybe I'll tell Peter that I'll just get it and play with him at some point. Worms doesn't suck. Worms is just too slow. Worms always, like, it was fun as a local sit on the couch multiplayer game where you could like punch people if they started using the ninja rope. It wouldn't work in a more competitive online environment where you can't punch people for using the ninja rope. Worms always devolved into like 3 people having fun and 1 person being a dirty sweat ninja roping across the map using jetpacks, hiding behind girders and pushing people off the edge. It was way more fun when you had people going, I can make this fucking bazooka shot and try and wild things. There is a time limit and it is like typically too long. You get long enough to ninja rope across the map if it's like a minute or something. Nobody wants to sit there for 3 minutes while other players ninja rope across the map. Yeah, you're like tunneling into the destructible terrain and building a base. You've already told me that that would be an awful, awful experience to play against you. Only if you're good. Oh yeah, a lot of the ninja roping, if you did it local co-op, a lot of the ninja roping was people trying and getting stuck and hitting a landmine. That's fine. Like, that's what I mean. It was entertaining in that casual local environment where you could punch them if they were being annoying. It's not, it wouldn't be okay as an online game. I know you're saying that it's good, but I don't believe you. Anyway. Shall we look at the topics for the day? I think that covers most of the things that I've played. Maybe. Your dad likes Red Faction. Everybody's dad likes Red Faction. It's funny online in a party, but yeah, that's I trust you on that. If you had the right party, then that's back to the kind of local equivalent. Okay. We can like meet in agreement on that point. I didn't like Red Faction. I did like Red Faction. But I can't remember which Red Factions I've actually played because they all kind of blend. But you know me, Tony. I like destroying things. I like exploding things. So of course Red Faction was a good time. Topics. Square Enix. Let's do that one. Xbox and Square Enix are good friends now. So, in no time at all, we can all log on to the Xbox, download Foam Stars. What is this music? Normally, I kind of skim through the OST to make sure there's no like lyrics and vocals, because I get a little bit upset by them. Today I didn't do that. This is the consequence. I don't know if I only bot bands. Isla, have there been any legitimate bans on this channel yet? There's obviously been some bans on Game On Daily. But what about here? Has anyone been legitimately banned? There's been 2 people banned. Did you tell me about them? Was one of them Gaz? Anyway, we'll leave that for another time. I saw it happen. Oh. I have no memory of things. Okay. Apparently, yeah, we're pretty hostile here. Those 2 people are gone. Square Enix. So, Square Enix have come out on stage at their little Final Fantasy event. They came out, they brought Phil Spencer on stage. They announced that Final Fantasy XIV Online is finally coming to Xbox after multiple, like, near misses in the past. This time it's real. It's coming sometime next year, I think, with a trial beta period over this winter. Who cares? As a legitimate question, does anybody here either already play Final Fantasy XIV and enjoy or hate it? Or is anyone looking forwards to jumping on it when it comes to Xbox? Has anyone been waiting for that moment? And Tony, how are you feeling on it? Didn't you buy a PC purely for that game? Foam Stars we'll get to, Jordan. Will it be on Game Pass? No. So Final Fantasy XIV Online will come out with a lot of free content. So you could try it. You can play for like hundreds of hours. It's got the entirety of the base game and like 2 expansions. So you can play up to the level cap and you can keep playing. But it becomes a subscription game if you want to keep up with the wave of new content. So a lot of people will be able to just jump on and try it when it comes out, which you can do right now on the PC or PlayStation if you want to. But don't give me that best value in gaming thing unless you can quantify it. Because I will demand a maths formula. You can tell me that it's the best deal or the best subscription service or anything like that. But not the shill line. The shill line is like, no, that's the shill line. It's a terrible use of your money. You got an E in maths. Fair enough. Game Pass will have 3 months with Final Fantasy XIV. It might. Like, it makes sense as a perk to... It depends how easy it is to like leverage that in a way that means anything. Because you can give someone like 3 months Final Fantasy time, but unless they're actually at that end game point, I don't think it really gives them anything. Apart from the ability to trade in things, which they're not going to give. It will be a bot nightmare for the whole game. So, Kratos, you do hear Castlevania Symphony of the Night music. You can also have points because you even got the which Castlevania game it is. You're more interested in what it means for future Square and Xbox partnership. Yeah, it's me too, Replicant. So obviously, I play on other things anyway besides Xbox. So if I want to play Final Fantasy XIV, I could do. To me, the only thing really changing with it going to Xbox is the potential for like a different group of friends, a different wave of people to play it with. And that's not insignificant, because a game like that, who you play it with makes all the difference to whether it's a good game or not. So it's not like beyond the realms of possibility that the Xbox release would make a difference to me and it would make it a better game. At the same time, I don't actually know anybody that's going to play it on Xbox, so that probably won't happen. I have tried Final Fantasy XIV 3 times in the past. And unless they've changed it since last time, the opening to that game is awful. Awful. Sits you on a little wagon with a load of like non-voiced dialogue and Moogles, but your character is the only one that can see the Moogles, and it's just massive turn away moment. Do I expect any Square exclusives coming to Xbox? No, I don't expect that. It would be interesting to be wrong on it, but I don't think so. The opening has changed. Have they got rid of that bit, Replicant? I know they were always talking about like crunching down how long it takes to get to the expansions. Oh, you're no longer on the car. I'm going to download it now. I might be interested in playing it if they got rid of that. It was an awful start. Has anyone else played Power Wash Simulator? You heard about it last week and put over 30 hours into it so far. We've spoken about Power Wash Simulator a few times. I'm afraid you've progressed into dark territory. Like when you finish Power Wash Simulator, you're going to need to move on to Lawnmower Simulator. You belong to that genre now. The cart was terrible, so they got rid of that. I'm pleased by that. Replicant, I know you're a World of Warcraft fan. How do you find Final Fantasy XIV? Because it's obviously very much a World of Warcraft reskin in terms of like mechanics. All of the combat is very World of Warcraft. And in theory, I should really like it, because I've always really liked Final Fantasy games apart from Moogles. So being able to play an MMORPG in that. It's not really a world, because Final Fantasy is like different worlds every time they do one, but of that vibe, should be really good. You struggle to get into it. Me too. Me too. Couldn't make a character that I liked, so that was one thing that was a bad start and bad omen for it going forwards. And yeah, I never really got into World of Warcraft without the social hooks either, though, so I don't know. Maybe it'll be different. You can see some exclusives come to Xbox like Octopath did. So Octopath wasn't exclusive though. It came to Switch and PC, didn't it? So Switch like a year before, and then PC and Xbox. I can see, so we'll park Final Fantasy XIV Online. If anybody here has Final Fantasy XIV thoughts, or thinks that you might play it when it comes out on the Xbox side of things, then keep coming with those, because I am very curious about that. But let's talk about Square Enix in general. Kratos, you did play Lawnmower Simulator. Yeah, you belong there now. You need 30 more lawns to keep it fresh. Good. Good. I played Lawnmower Simulator. I did a little video of it with the backing tracks I went for were the Skyrim theme and the Halo 2 theme, because it needed that like dramatic flair. Square Enix. Nope. Octopath Traveler. See, I liked Octopath Traveler. I played that a bunch. I hope that as a result of the Xbox Square Enix new friendship, some of the games that were missed will now appear on that ecosystem. So Octopath Traveler 2 going straight into Game Pass would be delightful. I'd be very happy about that. Same for like Triangle Strategy, which that's less likely because I don't think that went to PlayStation either. I think that one was just Switch and PC. But if they're going to bring it to more platforms, Xbox is now included in that conversation. Game Pass is now included in that conversation. So that's a positive. I'd probably play those there if they came out. There's open question for you. Something. That's a very open question because I forgot what the question was. More specific open question for you. Are there any Square Enix games in particular that like have already come out but skipped the Xbox side of things? that you'd now like to see come across? Like a, I don't know, Secret of Mana series, or the ones that I mentioned, Octopath and Bravely Default and stuff like that. Are there any games that you have been looking at? Babylon's full. They could bring that out, but the servers are gone, so that would be an interesting troll. Babylon's full on Game Pass. You just launch it and it says, "Yeah, this game shut down a year ago." No, other Square Enix games that skipped Xbox the first time, and now you're thinking, "Hey, all's good. We can play that." An obvious second question on that. Same thing really, but games that haven't already skipped Xbox, games that are coming, so your Foam Stars, your Kingdom Hearts, or I don't know, Square Enix games that are in the pipeline that now might presumably come to Xbox. What are you looking forward to? Remake Station, you played Mage mostly on Horde Undead. So the World of Warcraft question, Replicant, you asked a two-part and I didn't understand remake what class. What does that mean? Remake of what class? It's probably like a conversation that I've been fully having and I've just lost that completely. But remake what class? And Horde or Alliance, the question there isn't as simple as it should be. A lot of people will just yell one of those because they only played World of Warcraft for a very short time. I played it for a long time. So obviously I started as Horde because Horde were clearly vastly cooler at the start. Alliance were for little dweeby nerds that really wanted to be a paladin in real life, that wanted to be the hero with their own story. So I started as Horde, as a shaman in particular, but over time, particularly when you got into like 2 or 3 expansions back, I can't remember which ones, but over time the Alliance became the more interesting faction. So then I played Alliance and Horde. So they started, they added a lot more depth to Alliance over time, and there was one expansion in particular where Alliance got good storytelling and Horde got leftovers. You never played Alliance, and you missed out. Not a lot, like they're the same, aren't they? But how long did I play WoW? Did I play with Gaz? I didn't play it with Gaz, no. I played it. So I played WoW before it came out in one of its betas, and I hated it. I played it on launch day, and I hated it. I played it about 6 months later, and I hated it. Then I played it at the tail end of the tail end of the Burning Crusade. I played it. Do you shower every day? Like 6 times. I love the shower. I'm always in there. It's a weird question though. Undead, Replicant. Undead. Is it you that said you'd never played Warcraft 3? I started it at the tail end of Burning Crusade, so not into Burning Crusade enough that I would really say that I played the Burning Crusade. Like, I didn't do the end game content in Burning Crusade because I was still going through the leveling at the point that Wrath of the Lich King came out. And then I played a lot in Wrath of the Lich King, like a lot. I had a group of friends that I was working with, and we raided through that expansion pack. And then they all gradually dropped off during Cataclysm, but I kept playing through Cataclysm, and I kept playing through Mists of Pandaland I played, and I was dropping off quite a lot at that point, but I kept playing a bit through whatever came after that. Is that the Burning Legion one? I think that's where it lost me. I've dabbled since. Anyway, a lot of World of Warcraft. If I were to go onto all of my characters and do the played time, it would be scary numbers that episode 13 would have no chance of adding up with his E in maths. Your main is an undead priest, your ult is a blood elf paladin. So the reason I mentioned the Warcraft 3 thing is Warcraft 3 players, like undead's presence in World of Warcraft was a bit ham-fisted. The undead with their free will, like nonsense bullshit that they wrote into the story to make undead playable, because a lot of people liked playing as undead from Warcraft 3. But in Warcraft 3 and Warcraft story up to that point, the undead were very simplistic, like these are the bad guys. WoW needs a sequel, only hardcore play now. WoW definitely is a difficult thing to get into now. I don't know if I'd say that the current players are hardcore as such, because it is very, like, kind of Candy Rush now. So a lot of hardcore people, obviously you've got World of Warcraft Classic going to appeal to the nostalgia hardcore folk. But the current World of Warcraft player, I don't know, you'd have to ask Replicant and Jez Corden. I don't think it's necessarily a hardcore audience that play it though. You have to be like relatively hardcore to be willing to subscribe to a game to play, right? You have to be pretty dedicated to do that. They're introducing a hardcore mode. What, when your player dies, they dies mode? Fuck, I gotta play World of Warcraft. Do you have to pay to continue? Are they making permadeath the default, but every time you die, it's like, for 99 pence, you may resurrect and carry on your character. Congratulations, hero. So where are they doing the hardcore mode? Is that in current WoW or is that going into Classic? Hardcore on PvP servers could be streaming entertainment. I've only quite recently learned that I enjoy hardcore modes on games like that. I enjoy the chaos of a beloved character just being mercilessly destroyed while everyone cries, knowing that they're actually never coming back. Tony, why are you asking about showers? Cause of the water shortage. We don't have a water shortage here. Isla, please stop breaking your jaw. Someone teach Isla how to use her face before it's too late. Remake station, you were a guild leader in World of Warcraft. I was a clan leader in Quake 3 Arena. You can't beat that. What a game. Permadeath modes are the worst. They're not, Jordan. They're hilarious. I imagine they're not much fun offline to just grind by yourself, but for streaming and like for streaming purposes, when it might not be real, but for me and the audience, we get to love this character and then watch them die. There's so much more emotional investment knowing that it matters when you fuck up, and it's so funny when they die, especially when it's always Tony's fault. Anyway, Square Enix. So here's another question for you then. Square Enix's CEO, can't remember his name, and Phil Spencer, and both came out during the announcement and said, yeah, it includes Final Fantasy XIV, that's the main thing. But also they both said that they're like going to work together for future releases. Square Enix said that wherever possible, their future games will come to the Xbox as well. Basically implying that they won't bring any out that are locked under contract by Sony or possibly Nintendo, but everything that can come to Xbox will come to Xbox going forwards. Do we think that that is true or lip service? How good do you think the relationship is, and how do you think it got mended? That's a question for people that are here watching right now. Oh, Replicants DM me something. I can't not look. Wait there. It better be good. Rules of engagement. Classic hardcore is coming to World of Warcraft. It's official. Hardcore realms are coming to World of Warcraft. Players will have the opportunity to show if they have the edge, the grit, the very will to engage with Azeroth, its denizens, and their fellow players to survive. But there are rules of engagement, as there always are. Here are the rules for WoW Classic hardcore rounds, and a little bit behind the scenes thoughts on the choices that have been made. Death on hardcore rounds is permanent on that round. PvP flagging you. Players will no longer automatically be flagged for PvP. Upon attacking another player, to flag yourself for PvP, you must type the command /PvP, okay? PvP Battlegrounds of Warfare. Battlegrounds are completely disabled, so it's all in the world. PvP and quest updates. Don't do that anymore. Danger leashed. Most creatures will leash and reset when leaving the area. It's a bit lame. Dungeons on the clock. All dungeons have at least a 24-hour lockout timer for players below level 60. So you have to, like, it forces you to stay out in the world, fight other players, or fight the world and potentially die. You can have as many buffs as you want. So they've got rid of all the buff stacking limits. So you can be a proper nerd in hardcore and go around town getting every single buff in the game before you dare go adventuring. You can't bubble hearth. Paladins can't use their hearthstone while under the effects of their blessings and stuff. And they've added a feature called Duel to the Death, so you can challenge another player to a duel to the death. The loser's character is gone forever. I like that. That's an exciting mode. World of Warcraft is doing something good. Quicksilver, welcome. You think Square realized they shot themselves in the foot by releasing on PlayStation 5 initially? So many missed sales opportunities. Maybe that encouraged the new CEO to make amends with Xbox. I do agree that the new CEO is like very critical to this conversation. The previous CEO of Square Enix was a walking disaster for ages and ages and ages. Square Enix were just obscure, like wild decisions everywhere. And I think he did have a petty grudge with Xbox that got in the way. I don't know what their falling out was, but one minute they're like, all of the Final Fantasy games are on Game Pass now. Outriders is on Game Pass now. Final Fantasy XIV is coming to Xbox. This was in 2019. All getting along very nicely. Apparently there may have been some behind the scenes acquisition talks that fell through just prior to Activision Blizzard King coming along. So maybe it was like a case of scorned lover. But I think the CEO had a very personal vendetta with Xbox. Was also a wild idiot in a way, trying to drag Square Enix into the world of NFTs instead of good games. A month after that guy left, suddenly they're all friends again. So I am under the impression that the new CEO is like, I think it is genuine when they say that they're going to bring games to Xbox. I hope that Octopath Traveler 2 is coming soon. I'm dead set on playing Foam Stars on Xbox Series X at least once. Hopefully only once. That game looks terrible. Is that real that Xbox were going to buy Square? Yeah, that came up in all of their court proceedings. We don't know how well progressed any conversations were, but it was definitely proposed internally at Microsoft very formally on what that acquisition would look like, and I would be surprised if they hadn't had any conversations with Square Enix by that point. Wait, it's so good, but you're gonna die. Oh, it's you having coke. I thought, are you taunting Tony? This is just like, it seems cruel when you know full well that Tony's on week 3 of no coke to be talking about how good the coke is. Oh, you are Tony. That's all right then. Tony, stop drinking the coke. It's bad for you. You stopped for a reason. Xbox pulled the old Square CEO's golden parachute. Oh wait, the last minute, and he was pissed. That's pretty much like, I reckon something along those lines is true. So Shady, obviously, there's some speculation there. Tony is strong. That's good. Quicksilver, heard about the Mistwalker game Fantasian possibly comes to Steam and maybe other platforms. I did hear about that, and I'm weirdly excited about that. It's a game that I should never have heard of because it was iOS only for a long time. It's the one mobile game that I sit there and go, oh, maybe I should be a mobile phone gamer. If that's the only way that I can play this Mistwalker game. They have 2 games. They have it was like Tetra or something. They did like a card battling game that I was less interested in, but Fantasian was supposed to be whatever it was called. Fantasian was like a proper RPG as far as I can tell. So if they do a nice job of releasing it as a PC and console game, I'm excited by that because it's like Mistwalker. I wasn't a massive fan of Blue Dragon, but it's kind of cool, and I was a massive fan of Lost Odyssey, so I will absolutely play that. Yeah, I'm not into mobile and don't use Apple, so we're the same on that one. What have I got? That's a round glass. I have oil. It's red wine. Tony, you're going to go play with T-Rex. Hopefully you survive the round of wrestling and teaching him how to do a suplex. Tony, I know you look young, but you're 4-year-old. 4-year-old? 3-year-old? Your 3 or 4-year-old can't suplex you. Black wine, yes. Remake Station, you don't know, you think they were interested, but you don't think it ever got far. You think Sony stepped in and made a big amount for Final Fantasy XVI exclusive. So Sony definitely paid for the Final Fantasy bits and pieces. There's no doubt about that. Like Final Fantasy was important to them and they paid to keep that as part of their identity or whatever, or to try and build the perception that Final Fantasy is a PlayStation IP, which obviously is a little odd in itself with it starting off as a Nintendo IP, but Sony wanted to be associated with PlayStation. They dropped a bag of money there, but that doesn't explain various other games like Octopath is the prime example. Octopath Traveler released on Xbox and on Game Pass, and it didn't release on PlayStation. And Octopath Traveler 2 skipped just Xbox when it released on everything else and just skipped Xbox. So I think there's more to it than just the Sony Final Fantasy relationship. Like there was bad blood between that CEO and Xbox. The Square deal died because Xbox decided to grab ZeniMax instead. So you think the Square deal was a bit older than the Activision Blizzard one? And yes, they were clearly having some cash issues to sell off Eidos and Crystal Dynamics so cheap. Star Ocean, fine example. One of the Star Ocean games came to Xbox, didn't it? Or did it not? I lose track of these things. Star Ocean's on the list of games. See, I usually split, and people will know this, I usually split JRPGs into 2 categories. You have JRPG subgenre 1, which is sealed away deity. There's a sealed away deity and an evil cult is trying to break the seal and set them free. Within the storyline of that game, inevitably towards the end, the deity does get free and you have to kill them. Very predictable subgenre of Japanese RPG. There's subgenre 2, which is high school. And that one's less predictable because it's just set in a high school. The only thing that you can guarantee is that it's like uncomfortable perviness in the high school setting. They always have like this weird element of high school romance. Those are the 2 primary genres of Japanese RPG. Then you've got Star Ocean and it's set in space, and it makes me go, oh, are there deities sealed away in space, or is this a new genre of game? And clearly I have actually played one of them at some point, but I can't remember it whatsoever. But but I'm very interested in Star Ocean in general and playing those and seeing what they're all about. I also very much like tactics games, even if they do fall into those common genres. So I want to play Triangle Strategy and I want to play Deerfield Chronicles, which Deerfield Chronicles did come out on Xbox and I have it on Xbox ready to play, so I should probably get on with playing it. You think it was right before ZeniMax and then they backed away from Square. The CEO lost his golden parachute and felt dishonored, then held a grudge. He's gone and it's different now. I think I agree with all of that, except I'm not certain of the timing. I don't know if it was ZeniMax that pushed it off or if it was Activision Blizzard King, because the ABK thing, I do think, despite it being huge and industry shaking, I do think it was an opportunity that presented itself on relatively short notice. I think that happened very quickly when things got messy at Activision. So yeah, I think it was personal. And that's weird because normally when you look at the industry in general, and ABK is a good example, there's always conversations about like what damage Sony have done to their relationship with Microsoft and with ABK as a result of all these court cases and all the rest of it. And typically you look at the industry and say, well, realistically none, because all they really care about is money. So whatever damage is done will be forgotten about. All parties are going to do what makes them the most money. So that's not been the case with Square Enix. Square Enix have been like weird, petulant and stubborn in a way that you don't expect, but I do think that they just had a terrible CEO. So Western RPGs win because they have post-apocalypse with a hint of comedy, high fantasy, and sci-fi space opera. You're not wrong, Tom, but there's always something... I don't even know what it is, but there's some slight weirdness to Japanese storytelling that sets it apart in a positive way from the Western ones. And this isn't like one is better than the other necessarily, but they are very different in feel. They just are. I remember, it's not the best example of a game in the end of it, but Recore. Who remembers who made Recore on the Japanese side of things? I can't remember, but what I can remember is that they said at the time of the arrangement that they had to develop it, they said that Western developers had taken a massive lead in technology. They could deliver like better looking games. They were just like, Unreal Engine was doing bits, and they could just deliver more impressive games technically, but the Japanese developers still had better ideas. They were more creative in terms of like world building and all the rest of it, and that's why they partnered in the way that they did to have a Japanese creative working with a Western studio to try and bring the best of both worlds. What they got was Recore. It didn't do very well for itself, but it was conceptually interesting because it's hard to disagree with them. Like, there is a certain flair to Japanese world building that does set it apart from Western world building. And I say that as someone that absolutely adores things like Lord of the Rings and Mass Effect and Halo and stuff like that. So I like both sides, but they're just recognizably different. So Shady, it could have been the ABK acquisition also, same result. Yeah, indeed. It's the timing I'm not sure of. Obviously, I'm not sure of any of it. It's speculation, but yeah. That is what I think has happened over at Square Enix. Tom, that's true. You love Eastern cinema for that exact reason. The storytelling is so very different from anything Western. Good. Did the guy who created Mega Man not have... Yeah, I think that's the one. I just can't remember his name. Inafune? Yes. I say without confidence, I think that is the fellow that I'm talking about. Yes. And I think the quote... not quite, but the quote that I'm referencing, I think it was him. So, Square Enix. Everybody's going to play Foam Stars. We're all going to be on opposite teams. It's going to be a delightful Sunday evening. We'll do Xbox versus PlayStation Foam Stars face-off. Yeah, that's the thing that everyone's looking forward to. Let's move on to the next bit of a topic, shall we? Where are we? It's 11 o'clock. I started late today, though, so that's going. We said no, Replicant, it won't be fun. It looks freaking awful. What is Foam Stars? Let's find out. Foam Stars is the Splatoon ripoff. You'll recognize it as soon as it comes up. Oh, I put my keyboard down. I exchanged my keyboard for my glass of wine. So Foam Stars was revealed as a PlayStation game at a PlayStation event. I don't actually remember if the trailer shows more platforms or not. It looks so awful. And I say this as someone who would love to play Splatoon. I think Splatoon looks really good. It's a Nintendo game and I'm not a Nintendo person, but I've always liked the look of Splatoon. I played it on the Wii. Weirdly enough, the Wii version, they just brought back the online servers. So you can go back and play the first Splatoon if you want, which is a strange development, but you can. I tried to play Splatoon on that because it looked cool. I like the little squid guys, and I like shooting paint everywhere. That looked fun. But it played awful. It was designed for gyroscopic controls and motion controllers first, controller as a secondary option. So when you tried to play it with either method, it wasn't very nice to play. So the idea that someone would go, oh, Splatoon looks fun, and these things that Asa likes, these are real, let's bring those across to other platforms. That should be a good thing. But then Square Enix come in and they make it, and it looks like this. And it does not have the charm of Splatoon. So Replicant, you never know. Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe it'll be the opposite of Splatoon. It'll entirely lack charm, but it'll feel really good to play. Maybe. I'm not seeing that being the case. It looks terrible. So Shady, you aren't going to keep that one. You're going to get it on your Xbox and you're going to download it to show Square Enix your full support. Otherwise, you can't have whatever Square Enix game you do want. Yeah, it's devoid of charisma. Trying very hard, but not got a soul. Imagine all the fun skins you can buy in Foam Stars. Exactly. Do you know? No, Baz. It's Foam Stars. We're going to show it every week. It's the biggest bit of news. We're just talking about the Square Enix thing because that story happened to break like right after Q&Asa last week. So I know it's a little bit late to talk about it, but we haven't really had this discussion, so it's fun. Will there be a triple Twitter Foam Stars mod? That doesn't even make sense, Tom. Yes, there's mods like that for everything, but no, Foam Stars will be very locked down against it because custom moddable skins will be like, what's the word? They're going to undermine Square Enix's ability to sell you new hats. So there will not be triple Twitter mods for Foam Stars. But yes, ShowJD, there will definitely be battle passes. There will definitely be battle passes. Right. Square Enix, done. Everybody's friends. We get to play Foam Stars together, whatever platform we're on. What you talking about, Baz? We're going to talk next about value. This, like, there's always conversations around what games are worth and all the rest of it, and it's always a difficult conversation, but I want to get your take on the latest one that's going around. If you haven't seen it, there's been a review from PC Gamer that sparked conversation. So PC Gamer did their Ratchet and Clank review, and they said that they really liked the game, but they couldn't recommend it at $60, is it? I think it's 50 quid in the UK. They couldn't recommend it at that price because it's like a 10-hour game. Give me your thoughts. Are they like, are they right to review games on those terms? Yeah, sales replicant, we'll get that in a minute. Sales, like, you're writing a review for a game. Is price a factor? Should price be a factor? And how do you factor it into a score? One thing that makes it difficult is that price is obviously temporary. It's fluid. So you review a game at launch, and Ratchet and Clank might be too expensive for your taste at launch. Or let's not use Ratchet and Clank because that's a Sony game and it might influence people's thoughts on it. So let's use a hypothetical game called Hatchet and Spank. So there's this game called Hatchet and Spank, really high production value, looks really good, it's fun to play, but it's only like 10 hours long and then you've pretty much done it. That game is selling for $60, Hatchet and Spank. Should a reviewer factor that into the score that goes on to like Metacritic and all the rest of it, and like docket points for being quite expensive for what it is? Because given that in 2 years time or whatever, price is fluid, in 2 years time you'll probably be able to pick up Hatchet and Spank for like 12 quid or something. It'll be the same game, but the review score will still be telling you this is too expensive. This piece of work is like a 6 out of 10 because the price used to be high. What's the correct answer? And it's a really difficult, like, it's one of those questions that doesn't necessarily have a right or wrong, because like, people reading a review have finite time and finite cash, and the value of a game is, it might be the most pertinent bit of information to them. It might be the most important factor in their decision on whether they want to play that game or not. You don't think the game length should influence a review score? Value for money is personal. £50 for a 10-hour may be expensive for some, but not for others. So that's true. In terms of value, it's very, very difficult to prescribe value to other people. Because, like, you sell Hatchet and Spank to Elon Musk, and that's nothing, right? 50 quid, not going to feel it. So the value conversation is very difficult. You sell it to me, I can't get wine that evening, you know? So different conversations. The value of money is not a consistent metric to value things, like measure things against, which makes the whole value conversation very complicated in the first place. But so you nearly spent 50 quid going to see Oppenheimer with the girlfriend at the cinema. Well, there's further complications to the whole issue when you talk about the value of games and you start comparing it to other ways that you could be using that money. So episode 13, games for you shouldn't be over 60 quid. You're 39 years old. Ideally, games should be 50 quid top. See, I land in the same place. Like, 50 is kind of where I feel comfortable. And then as prices get, like, there was all this conversation about Sony raising it from 60 to 70, and that was a big jump. But 60 was already a huge amount for a single game. But I say that on the one hand, and on the other hand, I know full well that I really, really, really value gaming. Like, this is the hobby that I adore. And if I had to spend more to be a part of this hobby, then I would be spending more to be a part of this hobby. I just spent more than 60 quid at a restaurant with the family. That was one evening of food that took a very long time to be served. So in that sense, like, when you start looking outside the scope of games at what value means, it's wild. It's like it's a few coffees for a game. It's a tank of petrol to play to play Hatchet and Spank. Less than a tank of petrol. How is that bad value for such an incredible piece of work? And games are incredible pieces of work. So it's really, really difficult to assign value to length of games, but at the same time, it is an important metric to people. And for a lot of people out there, if you've got 50 quid to spend this month and you need entertainment, you've got a choice of Hatchet and Spank or Squeaky Gate 3. They cost the same amount. Hatchet and Spank, 10 hours. Squeaky Gate 3, 174 hours of cutscenes, like probably 1,000 hours of gameplay. And it's a relevant metric for people trying to make a decision. How do reviewers deal with it? How would you like to see this handled within the space of a review? Isla, what would you like to know? People sometimes say Game Pass is the best value in gaming. What if you only have 2 hours a week to game though? Hatchet may get you a few months of high quality fun. There's lots of, so that best value in gaming thing that episode 13 mentioned earlier, there's lots of, I don't mind people saying that it's great value or saying that it's the best value multi-game subscription or anything along those lines, but you do have to qualify what you mean when you say it, because otherwise it is nonsense. Because there are plenty of examples, plenty of people where you can extract more value than that. Like, there might be someone that has played World of Warcraft solidly for the last 20 years. They've paid just as much as they have for Game Pass, and they've got at least as many hours and at least as much joy out of it. Is Game Pass better value to them? Not necessarily. And that's an awful example, because it's very easy to see in terms of subscriptions that one is offering you more than the other. But then you look at something like Starfield. Starfield, you buy it once and you could play it for 10 years. Is that not better value than Game Pass to a lot of people? And then you have games that you don't pay anything for. And whatever maths equation you're using to determine value, suddenly you've got games that surely have infinite value because you don't have to pay for them. So this is why I take exception to the shill line, because it is a shill line. There's good conversations to have, and I like Game Pass. I subscribe to Game Pass. I think it's fantastic. But just hyperbolic marketing lines are not things that real people should use. Real people should use, real language. Remember, can you have Game Pass Ultimate, but you hardly use it? So Isla's got Game Pass Ultimate, and I can't remember the last thing she played on it. I do use it a fair amount, I think. Replicant, you understand why some consider game length if their budget is more restricted, but that isn't up for the reviewer to decide. But the reviewer has to find a way to let them know, right? Remember Deathspank? I know the name Deathspank, I've never played it. Episode 13, for example, a game like FIFA should not be over 50 quid each year, as it's not a massive jump, it's just new animations. Yeah, there are many bad examples of games that shouldn't be charging that amount every year. FIFA should have moved to a yearly update model a long time ago, but then they're raking the money, so why would they? You use CD keys and you try to get it cheaper as the FIFA release price is too high. I just don't play FIFA. I haven't played FIFA since they took out block tackle. This is again like wild tangents, but FIFA for me, the team that make the FIFA games do an exceptional job of making it look like broadcast football. They do not do an exceptional job of making it fun to play. Old FIFA games that looked less like real football were more fun to play. As soon as they took out, it used to be, I can't remember what button, I think it would be for a standing tackle. It used to be, if you timed a standing tackle well, your player would stick out a leg, and if you timed it badly, you'd trip the other player over. And at some point in time in a FIFA game, they took that function out and replaced it with hold A to pressure the other player. And it looked a lot more like football, and it was far less fun to play. And that's been the FIFA IP for, oh, it's not, IP's the wrong word because it's going to be called FC 2024 this time, but that's been what that studio delivered for a while. And it's impressive, don't get me wrong, like they do a fantastic job. You could stick FIFA on a TV in someone's home that's not familiar with games and they might think that's football. Game Pass is incredible for those that have more free time and enjoy trying playing lots of games for cheap. Yeah, I like Game Pass. I play a lot of things as a result of having it. The general accessibility of games now is, it's almost a problem. There's so much to play, but it is a good thing. Conversely, my children have Game Pass Ultimate and I cannot get them to play anything from it for love nor money. So you want to talk about the best value in gaming? My older boy plays Terraria. He bought it for like £3 something. And he's put thousands of hours into Terraria. Find better value than that. It's not going to be in a subscription service, I'll tell you that much. And I'm not saying that as a dig against Game Pass, because it suits me just fine. I cannot get them off of the games that they play. Terraria and Minecraft. Getting to play cassette beats, there's no chance. No chance of getting to play anything else. Older boy is Terraria and Minecraft. Younger boy is Rocket League and Roblox. Exactly. So, Isla, how much did you pay for Minecraft? Game Pass may not be sustainable. They need a lot more subs to make more money. Well, there's a question that gets people's backs up. Yeah, we'll save that one for another day, the Game Pass one. Minecraft, you bought it several times, but it was €14 in 2010. So, what's been better value for you? Game Pass Ultimate or Minecraft? I know the answer. It's like, it's just, I'm using you to illustrate. There's a very clear case for you. So yeah, if you see anyone, this is why I said earlier, episode 13, if you see anyone use that best value in gaming line, send them back to their little shill center. Have them beg for forgiveness before you listen to anything else that they say. Not you, episode 13. You're a good guy. You just didn't do that well in maths. It's fine. I forgive you. Game Pass is sustainable. They have said that, episode 13. I also think it's not doing as well as they planned. So I think there is a conversation there. But I don't want to have that conversation right now, I don't think. I like Game Pass in concept as well. Gives me loads of games. You love Gaz and Xbox too. Everybody here loves Xbox too. I'm not going to say everybody here loves Gaz, but you know, some people love Gaz as well. I don't think so. I think most people here are pretty open to all platforms. Otherwise, I don't know. Like, I think typically if someone is like quite staunchly in favor of one platform over the other, they end up not liking me very much. Which is, it can't be helped, you know. I'm always going to like everything, and that upsets some people. If Game Pass wasn't sustainable, do you think they will be purchasing ABK? Well, there's a good question, Nathan Martin. The thing with Game Pass, it's not so much a question of whether Microsoft can afford it or not. I think their ambition on it is greater than where it sits at the moment. And I think they've hit more challenges than they expected to. And that's not to say that they're about to drop it or that it's going to lose them loads of money or anything like that. But I don't think they want to see Game Pass sitting at 30 million subscribers. Which is why they're pushing so hard on the PC space at the moment. So Tom, you're not saying it doesn't make a profit, you're just saying with this amount of subs it may be more profitable to just sell games. You love the Game Pass model and hope it wins out. Yeah. I say that. I love the Game Pass model as it is today. I always say I love it as it is today, because today I can get something like Starfield's not a good example because I'll probably end up buying it, but I can get proper games in Game Pass and I can play them. In 10 years time I still want to be able to get proper games that aren't stuffed with microtransactions and battle passes. Game Pass is a strategic long-term plan. Yes, it is. I just, we know that it's tracking below the numbers that they were hoping. For the last 2 years in their financial results, they've said that it's tracking below what they were hoping for. What we don't know is like whether they can get it back on track or not, how important their targets are. They seem to have hit this number of about 30 million, and they're not managing to convert more console people over. PC space is still growing, so they're focusing on there, which is why the PC one hasn't got the price increase and all the rest of it. Consoles aren't selling is harming that, yes. But there's also obviously the very untapped mobile space that they're surely going to try. Like, cloud is part of it. Cloud uptake hasn't been huge, so if they were hoping that the entire mobile audience would start subscribing to play console games on their phones, they might have had a rude awakening on that one. Looks like I'm sitting at the table waiting for dinner. This is exactly my restaurant experience this evening, just sitting for hours waiting for dinner. You think it's 35 million, but PC is thriving, so it's in a good place for you. I'm happy with it. The important thing for me is, like, for as long as it's giving me a good service, then I'll keep subscribing to it, and I'm not upset by that. And at the moment, it gives me a good service because I play Exoprimal. No, because I play a bunch of stuff on Game Pass. I'm always installing things on there, so works for me. Did they find me eventually, or did I have to go tell them? Who was looking for me? You would love to see Game Pass integrated into Steam. Replicant, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. I get that there's a lot of complexity around the third-party games that are included and licensing and all the rest of it. But like, EA laid the groundwork already. You can get EA Play via Steam, and as soon as that happened, I thought, well, Game Pass is surely following suit, like, in the near future, because the groundwork has been laid for subscription services, multiple games and all the rest of it. So surely Game Pass is going to appear on there, but not so far, and that was some years ago now. So it'll make a big difference if and when it does happen, because PC gamers sure love Steam. Goldfish. No goldfish have found me, thank you. Starfield is coming, you're so excited. Yes. Been a long time coming, but it is round the corner. We're so close to it now. Colin Prime, it's funny how they call Exoprimal Game Pass fodder, even though it's on PlayStation as well. Yeah. I can kind of... like, it didn't review very well, and it's tied its identity to Game Pass, so that's a little bit inevitable, but also... I don't know, I'm having fun with Exoprimal. It should be free to play, but it's just not. The restaurant people, you nerd. How do you know that they lost me? I don't remember. Yeah, in the end, Ryan got his dessert. Everyone was happy. I can't remember. What's the topic right now? Help me, please, everyone. Tell me what's going on. What are we talking about? Value. So what should a game cost? And being me and playing a lot of virtual reality, I also see the other side of it, where you talk about games selling into niche audiences. And then the whole price, value, cost equation is entirely different. What did I have for pudding? I didn't have pudding, no time. My youngest lad would have had a massive strop on for a week if we didn't get him pudding. So he had a chocolate brownie and ice cream. But yeah, games and prices. So we talked about the length of the game. So Ratchet and Spank being 10 hours, Squeaky Gate 3 being like 1,000 hours, and both being the same price, and how that's difficult. But the other side of the equation that doesn't get talked about very often is like the way that games are sold is counterintuitive if you sat through GCSE business studies, as so many people seem to have done, in that people talk about like the cost of making something, the margin that you sell it for, like very simple way of making profit that does not apply to games distribution. Because games distribution, all of the cost is like lumped in one place, and selling it's very much like a shared resource. So it doesn't fit that traditional model, and it causes a lot of confusion when people talk about the value of a game. But the value of, like, the price that a game should sell for, to me, it's almost like a shared burden. As people that are playing the games and buying them, the price of that game is a shared burden, because we as players, and you can disagree if you disagree, but we as players want the people that are making these games to like be compensated so that they can keep making games, right? Everybody wants the people that are making your favorite game to have the cost of that development covered to a degree that's like fair and satisfying, so that they can keep making it, so that we can get our sequels and things like that. And what that burden is very much depends how big the audience is, which massively complicates it. Because if I'm talking about a virtual reality game where the audience is tiny, and I still want them to give me like a full-fledged AAA experience, then it would be fair to me for the price of that game to be a lot more than like 50 quid. Because the burden of paying for that development would be split between fewer people. And that's like a way of looking at it that doesn't get enough consideration. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone like not really give a shit about paying for development of the games? Is that not important to you? Cullen Prime, you need to update your Quest 2. What's my take on the cost of physical and digital? That's interesting. So Nathan, the video that went on my channel yesterday that Isla put together for me kind of touches on it a little bit. Yeah, I know, it's a weird track again. I'm sorry about the OST. I made a terrible decision. I can't skip it either. Like I could randomly put it forwards, but I don't know what it will land on. The cost of physical and the cost of digital should not be the same. It's really, really ridiculous that they're still coupled in the way that they are. Did what? Did what? No, yesterday's... Oh, I might be mixed up. Oh no, shit. Yeah, no, I'm mixed up. There's a video in the pipeline that touches on this subject that didn't release yesterday. I've recorded some footage that touches on the physical and digital pricing thing. It's not directly the topic of it, but it's a conversation about physical distribution in general and where it sits now and going forwards. But for me, it is pretty important that it is decoupled from digital pricing. They should not be the same. You wish you could trade in your current VR headset when you upgrade to a new one. That would be nice. I don't think Meta will do that, but it would be nice. Going on the other channel if I get thumbnail sorted. People have unreal expectations on retail game pricing. Game development is expensive. Yeah, but... So we're in this weird situation where... like... Tears of the Kingdom sold 18.5 million copies, and that cost like 70 monies. So Nintendo are raking in a disgusting amount of money for the amount of work that they did on that game. And that's not to say that the game doesn't deserve success, but you talk about any other game selling at 70 money, it's not touching on those numbers. That was a suspect sip. How so? I'm being conservative because I don't want to run out of wine. So, but it is though, like the price of games is generally very complicated. I personally, I've already said on this show today that I get a little bit uncomfortable when prices start getting above 50 quid. And to me, that gets into like, this is a serious purchase now. It needs to justify being so expensive. But at the same time, I hate battle passes. I hate microtransactions. I hate like dark patterns in games and all the rest of it. So I'm very stubborn in that that's not fair in terms of carrying my share of the burden of actually funding the development of games. At the same time, where does fair come into it when publishers and platform holders are so determined to nickel and dime everything out of us as far as they can? Like, at what point does my stance that like I'd be willing to take my share of funding these games? That's fine. I'll pay whatever it takes to fund the games that I love. I'm not anti-price increases if that's what's necessary. But publishers will take the piss if I have that attitude, right? They're going to charge as much as they can at all times because it's not a fair world. It's not a case of taking on that. Like, it's idealistic to think that we as consumers have a shared burden to cover the cost of development for a game to go forwards. There's some truth to it, but it's very idealistic. The reality is that those publishers will take absolutely everything that they can from us, fair or otherwise. So it leaves us in a difficult situation where the value of games... I don't have a correct answer, I'm just waffling and rambling. So what do you think? Should Hatchet and Spank cost the same as Squeaky Gate 3? Consumers should just pay what they're comfortable with. Unfortunately, marketing and all that big publisher bollocks muddies the water. Yeah, the water is muddy. Tom, what are you willing to pay for a game? If that game is Cyberpunk 2078 and it's really good, what's your upper limit for like a really good game that you want to play? FOMO is a great marketing tool. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's one of those things that does us no favors, really, because usually applies to games that are just as good if you do wait for a discount and all the rest of it. But Replicant, you spend far too much on this hobby. Yep, me too. I've got a treadmill. I love my treadmill. Time to learn Polish before it's too late. Are we being invaded? What's happening? No, you mean before your Duolingo streak is broken. Phew! Stop speaking ominously. That might have been all my topics for today. So you recently just began playing Spider-Man Remastered and Miles Morales on PC. You got a sale on those games and got them for around 20 quid each. You would have no issue paying for £60 for this, having played them. Those are interesting examples. Spider-Man Remastered, not so much Miles Morales, but Spider-Man Remastered is like my go-to example for a game that doesn't have microtransactions. So it gets caught up in the conversations around like how much a game should cost, but you look at what publishers are doing in the space, and you look at Spider-Man Remastered and you go onto that costumes page, there's like 50 costumes there that you can earn through playing the game. There are not many publishers that would have that page and have no price tags present. And my concern, I don't think it is the case for Spider-Man 2, but my concern for a long time has been that that might be one of the last games where that's the case, with like everyone pushing towards squeezing extra money post-launch. How many games like that have this big page of like costumes and things? How many publishers are going to give us games where we don't have to pay for those costumes separately? And the list is shrinking. But it's not hopeless yet. I tell you what, if I go into Spider-Man 2 and they're selling me costumes, then we've hit the dark days. All that will be left is Nintendo, because they're 20 years behind the times, always. So, start the countdown. Start the countdown for cosmetic Zelda costumes. If you knew for sure that Cyberpunk 2078, but same thing. If you knew it was that, you'd pay 80 for it. You don't believe the publishers, so you wouldn't... Yeah, fair enough that you wouldn't believe them that it would be that good. But 80 quid is your upper limit for a premium game. See, my hypothetical is if you were to give me, like, Cyberpunk 2077 quality game, the game that it's supposed to be, fully in virtual reality, how much would I be willing to pay for that? The upper limit would be pretty high. It would be higher than 80 quid. And obviously it becomes like a balancing act, because there's not many people like me, so it wouldn't be a sensible price point for them to try and launch a game at. But I talk about price increases being like distasteful. I don't like the 70 money standard, but I would go way higher for something that I really wanted. Night, Baz. Have a good one. You'd pay more if it was guaranteed. Yeah, so this is the thing, like, we have these value conversations, and I appreciate the value conversations where when a publisher turns around and says our games are going to cost like 70 monies now, was the most recent one, but if it goes up to 80 monies, you want backlash, you want people to push against that, because we don't want prices going up arbitrarily for the sake of corporate greed and increased record profits or whatever. But at the same time, while we're pushing back on it and saying we don't like it, truly we are the people that value games the most and would probably actually pay more. Just don't let those publishers know, because they'll exploit it at every opportunity. I think that's pretty much where I sit on that one. But do I like Anstream Arcade? I've not tried it. Is it it's a lifetime pass at 80 quid. The gamble is how much it'll be supported moving forward. So I heard it's 1,300 like retro games, right? It's called Antstream. Is it all streaming? And is there anything like particularly worth playing on it? I want to get into, like, I always want to get into retro gaming, but I don't have time for modern gaming, let alone going back. Mia can't stop cooking for me. I'm pretty sure the food is burnt. I'm not. The only other option is that the stove isn't on. Right, she's just staring, going, why isn't it getting warm? I've been here for 2 hours now. And yeah, I'm just hungry. Yeah, backgrounds. Good times. 522-day streak. You must be fluent in all of the languages by now. So, I'm not sure we got to like conclusions to any of these topics, but I'm not sure we ever do. It's just like stuff to talk about and think about, right? It works. Everyone loves a bit of thinking. You liked her character in Resident Evil 7. In the end, no, don't tell me the end. I haven't finished Resident Evil 7 yet. I will get back on my treadmill and persevere. I'm told there's a terrible section around some boats or something. So that's something to look forward to. Don't worry, like, you've not actually spoiled anything. I vaguely know more than I should about Resident Evil anyway. And I'm not... I don't think Resident Evil particularly has a story that I care for. It's a game that's all atmosphere and tension and horror. So you haven't ruined anything. Tom! No, Tom! You should have said. I would have done... Ugh. That's the other background. More weird OST. Terrible choices have been made today. Let's do the questions. Let's do the questions so everyone can do what they need to do. There's a section in Village that would give you a cardiac arrest playing in virtual reality. Well, that's something to look forward to. I will play it with my heart rate monitor and we'll see what happens. We don't need more questions. It's been plenty long. It's all Tony. Uh-oh, Tony's not even here. If you have anything that you want to stick in the question box, get it in there quickly. Tony asks, what's the difference between IMAX and IMAX Enhanced? Tony, I have not left my house for 16 years, so I don't know. IMAX used to be this like a very particular specification. It had to have 2 projectors, a certain brightness, certain resolution, and all the rest of it. IMAX Enhanced, is that the 70mm thing? So a different film size, but I don't really know what the benefits are. You're probably talking about Oppenheimer or whatever it's called. I don't have a clue what the difference is. If anybody else knows the difference between IMAX and IMAX Enhanced, then drop it in there and Tony can read it later. You feel like you remember going to London to see IMAX in a museum thing when you were a kid, as if it was special. IMAX was more rare back then. There was a time where your local cinema had like the 3rd biggest IMAX screen in Europe. And there was a time when, there was just the one in London that had it for a while, but there's only one cinema in the UK that can do the 70mm IMAX Enhanced. What's the benefit of it, Replicant? I think IMAX is fairly common now. I think most cinemas have at least one IMAX screen now in the UK, but wasn't always the case. I don't know. Go and watch Talk to Me. It's a pretty good horror movie. I don't have anyone to watch horror movies with. Like, my son's scared of Despicable Me, so I don't think he's ready. He insists that he's not scared of it anymore, but he totally is. A few IMAX options up there, yeah. Yep. God, is that where you came from? Like, Croydon's a long way from Edinburgh. Ah. Oh. Your work is mean to you. Right. Next question. Tony's not here to let us know if he's satisfied with these non-answers. Would you use a Fantex Evolve Shift XT PC case? No, Tony. Because I can't. I've got no need to change PC case right now. Fantex are a reputable brand. That is probably a good PC case. If you are looking, why are you looking to change PC case, Tony? You've just got a PC. It works. You've got masses of space for an RTX 4090. You don't need a new PC case. If you are getting one, Fantex is a fine brand. Next. And I will say on that, Tony knows this already, I'm sure. My PC case, I've got 2 PCs in this room. Both of them like nasty high specs. But the one that's most high spec, no case can contain that one's heat. So I had the frame of the case busted open everywhere, wires spewing out, electric current like coursing through the walls. If I go to that area of the room, I will probably die. You heard that I'm a big fan of BTS, as in the K-pop band. I have never heard a single piece of their music. But yes, massive fan. How big is too big? For a PC case, I'm going to assume that Tony is still talking PC cases. The PC case that you got is a fine size, Tony. You don't need a bigger one. Next. You still have... At first I read that as cod sweats. It's like, cod sweats, that's gross. But no, you have cold sweats over the picture that I shared on Twitter of the cable management on that PC. It is worse now, Replicant, I think. I think since the days of that picture, I've added a PCI Express extension. Because I got the 4090 and could no longer fit a capture card in that case, so I've got like an extension ribbon hanging out on top of all the wires that you saw there. And there's nothing plugged into it because I ended up with a dual PC setup instead, but yes. COD sweats are appropriate. Right, next one. Will I be buying a PlayStation 5 Pro since it will cure cancer and have better specs for virtual reality? Yes. I don't know, Tony, because obviously it's like a year away and there'll be potentially a Switch at the same time and probably an Xbox there or thereabouts as well. And who knows what's going to be happening in the virtual reality headset space. So it's unlikely that I can buy everything, but I would ideally buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. I wouldn't buy it over and above new VR headsets and things though. So I'm going to have to pick and choose what I do get, but typically, yes, I want everything. I want everything. What about anybody else here though? Anybody else looking at the PlayStation 5 Pro? I've said before, but the specs that leaked for it are almost certainly exactly on point. Who's thinking that they might get one of those when it comes out? And who's thinking that they don't care for mid-gen consoles? 50 series of cars looking like 2025. Good, Replicant. That's a little bit of breathing space before my next bank loan. Next question. I will say I would rather have a PlayStation VR 2 update than a PlayStation 5 update. I'd rather have a pancake lensed wireless PSVR 2 over a PlayStation 5 Pro. That's not available. So Replicant, have I ever returned to an old MMO game on a community private server? This may be double questions. First time bugged out. This is the one that I've got come through the first time. Have I ever gone to a private server? No, I have tried. So MMO RPGs that I've wanted to revisit. I've played a few that have gone away. But the only one that I wanted to revisit was Asheron's Call 2. And the private servers never materialized in a real way. So there was a fella called Oplop that was doing a reverse engineering project that was coming along, and I was keeping an eye on it. I wanted to jump on it and play it if it ever became real. But before it became real, Turbine brought Asheron's Call 2 back in an official capacity. So they, many years after shutting it down, brought it back static with no updates, like a few patches to make it work, but no content updates, just so that people like me could go and sample it again. I went and played that. Sadly, they had another restructuring and they had to shut it down in such a way that it is never going to come back again. But I think as a result of the official re-release, Oplop stopped his project and there are no private servers available for Asheron's Call 2. If there were, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I'd be playing it. I want to play it. No, I would still talk to you, but I would play that. I cannot. You tried AC, but you don't think you dabbled in AC2. They were quite different. Asheron's Call, like, fans of the first game typically didn't very much like the second game. I never played the first one, I just played the second one. The second one was a visual marvel. And it was a stunning game to me. I'd love to go back and play it. There was so much that it did better than modern MMORPGs, but there was also so much that World of Warcraft fixed. I miss that era of MMOs as well. So World of Warcraft did a lot of damage, it fixed a lot of things, but it also ruined a lot of things. The first one is what got you to decide to try World of Warcraft. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't play the first Asheron's Call, but from Asheron's Call 2 to World of Warcraft was just so smooth. It was the biggest thing that it did right. And it cut back so much technically, like it did so much less than Asheron's Call 2 did. But the result was that it was so smooth, it worked so well. Whereas Asheron's Call 2 was more ambitious. But it was like you needed pretty perfect circumstances for it to actually work well, whereas World of Warcraft kind of worked well in bad circumstances. Did I ever play Matrix Online? No, I didn't. Was it good? I loved the first Matrix film, so I should have played Matrix Online, but I never did. I think I was probably hooked on something else at the time. Assetto Corsa is very different from Asheron's Call 2, you're not wrong. You have Acheron as your sorcerer in Diablo 4, so Colin Prime, many of my character names are derived from Acheron's Call 2. Never Acheron. I don't normally go like quite as on the nose as picking the titular character from a game. But I had Beelzeron, Isengil, Volkarma were all names taken from Acheron's Call 2. Probably some others as well. And the other game that I take names from was Shining Force 3, which is an obscure Saturn RPG. So if I'm taking character names from Legacy games, they're usually taken from Acheron's Call 2 and Shining Force 3. I would take names from Panzer Dragoon Saga, but those were a little bit too... Azel and Edge were too common, so... And then when I'm streaming, I make characters like Magical Trevor so that we can all sing the song. Watch One Piece, says Tony. Tony, give me the 1,000 and something hours that I need to do that, and I will do that after Futurama. Next. Do you wash your balls with a cloth or soap hand? You use metal wiring to scrub. Next. Next. Okay. Right, talking about game pricing. Do you ever double dip to play the same game on multiple platforms? You've done this for games that you love. Replicant, I've never done it for games that I love. Is that true? I may have played... Actually, I think I played Horizon Zero Dawn on both, because the PC version was like a significant upgrade to go and do that. Very rarely. I would like to... Again, Spider-Man I would like to play on the PC, but I very rarely have time to replay a game. The exception is when I've done tech analysis videos on the Game on Daily channel. So there are a few games that I got across multiple platforms for the sake of videos. So no, I don't typically double dip. There are some games that I've had across multiple platforms. And actually, if you go way back to like Quake 3, I very much double dipped on that. But Quake 3 wasn't, it's not really double dipping because I played it on the Dreamcast, and then you like naturally expand into the PC space where it was a much bigger game. Minecraft Java, Pocket Edition, 3DS, Switch, Bedrock. So yeah, I have many times dipped into Minecraft. Tried not to talk cooking tonight, but bugging me. This roast chicken is awesome. Is it a full-on roast? You've done roast chicken and like the works. One, two, three, four. Well, I got confused, Isla, because you've got Minecraft Bedrock / Windows 10, and they're kind of different. I guess they're the same. But yeah, lots of dipping. What about you, Replicant? What have you double dipped on? Of course you're allowed to talk about cooking. It's expected. I was trying not to be a nuisance by asking what you were cooking today, because I always ask what you're cooking today. And it wasn't that I lost interest, it was that I didn't want to pester you every time with the same question. While Replicant tells me what games have been double dipped on, let's do the next question. Some of your comfort games you've double dipped on. No, name some names. I was thinking this show's been on for freaking ages. It's like 10 to 12 now. But actually, it has been on for freaking ages, even with the late start. It's quite long. Let's do the next question. Tomb Raider reboot and Control. So there's games like that I want to play again. Tomb Raider is actually on my list specifically, especially when like I look at streaming and things. I think actually I could play that one again and stream it, because I never streamed it the first time. Tomb Raider 2013 was a brilliant game, so I could play that trilogy again quite happily, but I have not. There probably have been a few others, but it's rare. Roast chicken with onion up its arse and some carrots, served with French fries and frozen sweet corn. I recommend unfreezing the sweet corn. It's nicer if you don't eat it frozen. Isla, we ran out of questions, but the thing is bugged and you can't end the Q&A. Don't forget you're here forever. Good reference, but no, I'm not here forever. Nobody's here forever. We have reached the end of this show. If you haven't already watched the video that Isla put together about Ratchet and Clank, then that's there to go and watch. Go Live will be on this weekend. Our guests, I don't know who they are, but I'm sure it'll be another fun show. There's a link to the video. Thank you, Isla. I think that's all I've got for today. So tomorrow, I suspect I'll probably stream something at some point. Sunday will definitely have community streamings. Will it be Extra Prime or will it be something else? I haven't decided yet, but I'll figure it out before Sunday. I do take suggestions as well, so if there are particular things you want to play, then let me know. And yeah, it goes on like normal from there. Might get to 1,000 views if we try really hard. Yeah, try really hard. Tell your friends to create YouTube accounts. Many YouTube accounts per friend. Watch that video. I'm sure it will help. Frozen sweet corn adds some Heston style texture fun. I still recommend at least defrosting it a little, but they're your teeth, your decision. And on that note, thank you everyone for coming along again. Always thank you for coming along. If you're watching after the fact, or if you're just sitting there in silence because you don't want to talk, then you are also just as welcome and just as appreciated. So it's great, thanks. And where are we? I'm probably just gonna go to sleep, which is a shame, but you enjoy whatever it is you're doing, be it sleep, be it games, be it other things that humans do, you know, stuff. Enjoy it, and I will see you real soon. This might be the wrong button. Oh yeah, leave comments on the video. Yeah.